One of the most confusing aspects about making music is learning about harmony. Especially when you're starting out, it can be really confusing when there are literally thousands of books, resources, teachers, and more out there. It becomes overwhelming. You start with your major triads, and sure, it's not too bad at first. Some of the triads are shaped differently, some have sharps and flats, but eventually, you get the hang of it after a while. And then after your major triads, you have minor triads, diminished triads, and augmented triads. Now, each triad has 3 inversions, and you already know the first one. It's root position. Then, if you take the bottom note and put it an octave up, you get first inversion. Do the same thing with your first inversion triad, and you get second inversion. Do it again, and now you're back to root position. Okay, so we have our triads. We could expand into 7th chords, which add a 4th note, but this is where things start to get complicated. Now you have minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor major 7, major 7 sharp 5, half diminished, fully diminished, dominant sharp 5, etc. Why am I saying sharp 5? Shouldn't it be flat 13? Right? No, I mean major 7 sharp 5 is a real thing. It's not flat 13, because flat 13 implies something else kind of. Whatever. Oh my god. You can add extensions to those. Minor 9, minor 11, minor 13.
Major 7 sharp 11, dominant 7 flat 9, dominant 7 flat 9 flat 13, dominant 7 sharp 11.
And those are just the names of the chords. There's also endless ways you can voice these chords on the piano. You could do drop 2 voicings, chordal voicings, block chord voicings, shell voicings, etc., etc. So at this point, you probably feel like this is unreasonably a lot of shit. And it's not even close to the comprehensive amount of everything out there. It's endless. And for me personally, I get really overwhelmed when I think about all of this stuff. And I think, man, I need to be able to play everything here, To be a full musician, I need to be able to play every single minute type of chord in every possible inversion and every possible voicing. But that sucks. It's just not feasible to do everything. Find the things that work for you. But don't worry, in this video, all you need to know are the 4 basic triads. Because today, we're going to be talking about polychords. Now, as the name suggests, a polychord is basically a chord with multiple chords within it. That's hard to say. In this case, we're going to be looking at polychords that consist of 2 triads, one in the left hand and one in the right hand. Now, the cool thing about polychords is that when you utilize them well, you're able to play really complex harmonies without even needing to really understand what those harmonies are. Don't get me wrong, it's important to learn harmony and understand what you're doing, but when you're trying to make music, it's really fun to find new sounds, and using these concepts will help you discover new sounds without that barrier to entry. Okay, so how many combinations of polychords are there? Well, we have 4 types of triads, and there are 12 key centers. So you multiply those 2 together, 4 times 12, 48. So that's 48 chords. Now we're playing 2 chords at once, one in the left hand and one in the right hand. So if we want to think about all the possibilities, that's 48 times 48, which is 2,304 possible polychords. That's a lot. And most of them will sound bad. If I'm being honest, probably 2,000 and 100 of those polychords sound like shit. But those 100 good ones are probably really cool. So yeah, for the rest of this video, I'm gonna show you the polychords I like and that I've found, and also show you some interesting ways that you can use them. Okay, so here are some of my favorite polychords. B flat major over C minor. It sounds really nice. It's basically a C minor 11 chord. There's C major over D minor, and it's the same chord actually. Recently I discovered D minor over A flat major. Sounds pretty weird. I don't really know what to do with it, but I like how it sounds. And F major over G diminished is a pretty cool sound, has a lot of tension in it. Just some notes about when you're trying to find cool polychords. Having repeated notes between the two triads is okay, but that will make the sound less rich, but maybe that's what you want. Also, both chords don't need to be in the same inversion. I like having them as close as possible, so one could be in root position and the other could be in first inversion, so they're, so your hands are close. They're not like far away on the piano. All right, so let's talk about polychord pairs. A polychord pair is a mix of two concepts: polychords, which we've been talking about, and triad pairs. Triad pairs is when you are switching between two triads in succession. So basically, we're gonna switch between two different polychords back and forth, and that'll create a cool sound. So you could think of it as there being a vertical triad pair, which is the polychord, and then a horizontal pair going from one polychord to the other. It's like a triad pair. Kind of crazy. The two polychords you could switch between are B flat major over C minor and then C major over D minor. Another thing you could do is omit notes from the polychord. So you could say, all right, I'm gonna not play the middle note of my left hand, or even the bottom two of my left hand, or the middle note of my right hand. Because sometimes if you're playing 6 notes at once, it can be a little too much, a little too thick, too dense. If you take out some of the notes, you can add some more clarity, add a more hollow sound. If you're playing in a group with multiple people, I recommend omitting some notes if you use polychords, unless you don't want to. Something else you could do is arpeggiate the polychords. Just because these are chords doesn't mean we have to play all the notes at once. Think of polychords as a unique grouping of notes with which you can do whatever you want with. I'm going to notate this as if the 6 fingers playing the chords are numbered 1 through 6. So this 5-note pattern is 6, 2, 4, 3, 5. And it sounds like this. And then if I go back and forth with a different polychord pair, it sounds like this. That's pretty cool. I've only really scratched the surface with this. There's so much more you could do with polychords. It's really just another tool that you can put in your toolbox and just mess around with and try to combine with other stuff. I feel like that's how I've found the most cool ideas, is just taking something, mixing it with something else, and seeing what happens. So yeah, if you find any cool sounds from this, definitely let me know in the comments.